G'day everyone, and welcome to the live stream. Oh no, I can hear an echo. That's not good for an intro. What's in the background, Roy?
Sorry?
Do you have us in the background?
No, you're fine. I can hear you perfectly. All good.
Cool. All right, that might be just my lovely technical difficulties because we are here live with you tonight because what else kind of technical difficulties would we have live on our first go around?
It wouldn't be Christmas if we didn't have a little bit of a headache first up with it.
Exactly. That's why we're here. We're here to go make things go wrong and stuff up our words because we're live, but we're here nonetheless. So I want to welcome everyone to today's webinar and the first of a very hopefully long series that we'll be running about. Feel free, Roy, to let people know the name of the series.
Making business finance sexy.
So that's essentially what the series is about. And of course, if you have any recommendations for topics or ideas or any questions that you want Roy and myself to be answering, feel free to put that in the comments below or to the side, depending on which platform you end up using. And if I end up uploading this to another place, you can send any comments via any of our social medias or via email. That works too.
Absolutely. The whole purpose of what Zoe and I are trying to do is information, and particularly for young entrepreneurs, fresh out of school, maybe work for 2 or 3 years, not sure that's what I want to do, would like my own gig. It's just filling in the necessary background to transition, whether it's straight from school to a business or school, work, and then a business. But it's information. It's not a lecture to tell you how to do things. It's information, and it's you that decide how much information or what information you want to take on board.
I could not said it better myself because you're in charge here, so that's why. So before
Zoe, so it's all we're in this together as a common saying I think we've had for the last 18 months.
Exactly. And we're actually going to be getting into that today because, and I removed the banner because it's very silly of me, we are going to be discussing how we actually started Humanising Money Matters and pretty much discussing all the thoughts and powers behind why, Roy, you're actually doing this. But I'm not going to ask you to answer that just yet. We're going to get through a few of my lovely run sheet here before.
Yep.
But I am going to look at the bio. So I'm just looking at my notes here, realizing that I haven't actually got the biographies up that I drafted. So what have I got here? Have I got Roy's? Yes. So I'm gonna welcome you to everyone. So in case you're unaware and you have not seen the lovely, awesome videos and content that we have been producing for Roy for Humanising Money Matters, Roy is a business mentor and bookkeeper for many local businesses. Let me start that again because, this isn't live, right? I can do it again.
Rewind.
Yeah. Rewind. It'll be fine. So Roy Emmett is a business mentor and bookkeeper for many local Geelong businesses and is the owner of Humanising Money Matters. But the title that we actually came up with you, and I think, Roy, you actually came up with this by yourself. You came up with the title.
I surprised myself.
Yeah?
The Humanising Money Matters or Making Business Finance Sexy? Or both?
Oh, no, I was going to go with your title. Your title, which is Financial Entrepreneur Partner.
Oh, that one. Yep, cool. Yep, I'd forgotten about that one.
It is your title, sir. How can you forget your own name?
Acronym, whatever. Yep, cool. I'm good. Now I know. Yep. We're on the Thunderbirds.
So,
I go.
Of course. Yes. So, that is, yes. See, I've had a really good Monday. I'm awake. So that is a little bit of details about Roy. And of course, we'll be discussing that throughout today's webinar. And it's only just under an hour, so don't fret if you are watching us now or watching the replay later on. #replay club. My name is Zoe Wood. I am one of Roy's clients, but also I help Roy with some of the social media and some of the marketing around Humanising Money Matters, because as you can see, I do a flawless job making sure that I do this right. Because and we will actually get to a little bit digging into this later on in today's webinar, but Humanising Money Matters is aimed at helping creative entrepreneurs or young entrepreneurs, or even people who are just starting up a business for the first time later in life. There's a lot of things that come around when it comes to starting a business, and especially starting one by yourself. You're not taught anything in school. And for some people starting a business, they didn't even have a good experience in school, or let alone have a experience where you actually learnt anything decent at school. And one thing that I will probably mention now, and I was listening to this in a podcast yesterday that I forgot to mention to you ahead of time, Roy, but one thing that I actually dawned on me yesterday as listening to this podcast, it said, school teaches you how to be a worker, not an entrepreneur.
Correct.
They give you the skills and the tools and the thinking patterns, technologies, to be able to be a worker for a larger company, not the ones creating that company.
Correct. Absolutely.
Do you think I'd be right in saying that, right?
No question. Absolutely. Yep. The whole process, I watched, I think it was Q&A in the worst of COVID last year, and there was this terrific young university student expressing exactly the same vernaculum that she has just spent 3-4 years at uni, and she pretty much says, I've wasted my time because there's no jobs for what I want to do. No advice at school, no one gave her options, and now at 22, 23, she's got a big decision to make, how to pivot and move on to the next phase of her life. So the elements of information and what Zoe and I are collaborating on is, it doesn't matter whether, I think, Zoe, correct me if I'm wrong, you started your first job at 14?
Yeah, so I started my first business when I was at 14. Yeah.
Yeah. So it doesn't matter whether you're 14 or 63 like me. There's an element to what you do based around desire and information. And the education system will get you to a point, but the entrepreneur has that hunger, desire, and passion. I want to do this for myself. I think I can make a go of it. But what you don't get taught, taxes, what are they? Superannuation? Oh, I'm never going to be that old, am I? So this is really why it's information. It's not about, I said, a lecture. All I want is to be the little pine nut that grows into a pine tree, to sow a seed so that you might not take it away with you immediately, but when there's a crunch time that comes, and having Zoe on board, it really gives me a flavour of, I hope, a genuine interest in trying to help younger people who need that mentorship, or just an understanding of what it even can be as basic as what questions do I ask? How do I fix this? What questions do I need to say to someone to get the information so that I can be a good business citizen? So yeah, it's and in that first 5 to 10 years of being in business, if you learn bad habits, most people have those for life, and you just don't want to be in that position because it's stressful and so forth. But anyway, we'll continue, Zoe.
Yes, I realise that we're getting down to the nitty gritty before I even get to the title card that I even made for today's webinar.
No, but it's just laying a foundation so that we can give our viewers an indication of what direction we're going in. So what I don't want is people to say, and just having a different slant on some humour, like getting you out of the financial dungeon, so that just give some visualization to the feel of what it's like to not be in control of what you're trying to do.
Exactly. I like it. And we're definitely going to be talking about that a bit more after my acknowledgement of country and the title scene for this particular webinar. So I have practiced this a couple of times, but I'm just going to read it out just in case I get it wrong. All right. We are producing this live stream on the land of the Wadawurrung people of the Kulin Alliance. Sovereignty was never ceded. We need a treaty now. Let's start the show. So now we've actually officially started the show, even though technically we've already been starting the show anyway. Whoops. So my first question to you.
It just beholds the director to allow the workmanship as we go. Or workpersonship, whatever you want to, yeah.
It's all good. We've got this far.
Yeah. This part of the journey was really interesting because when I first connected with Zoe, her experiences were probably at the worst end of the scale in terms of getting support around her record keeping for a business. And we worked pretty solidly for 6 to 12 months to get everything up to speed. And I found in that time that there was a real interest in, I want to get this right. But at that stage, my head wasn't quite in the Humanising Money Matters thing. I'd relocated from Melbourne early 2015, and I was just trying to regurgitate what I was doing in Melbourne, and that wasn't working. So I sort of took a moment to step back and say, what's really been working here? And I've gone, working with Zoe has been really good. What's in that space? What can Zoe and I do to help develop a platform for young entrepreneurs to look at and just feel like they're not alone, feel like there's an option, feel like that there is a resource that they can tap into when they need to. So I think it was early 2018, and I wasn't having a great day. I had my big boy grumpy pants on. So I just had another knockback, and from the traditional bookkeeping accounting world. And I thought, okay, I'm going to talk to Zoe. I say, okay, Zoe, what's in this space? Does anyone particularly target your demographic? And the more we dug, we found no. And so we've started from scratch. It's been, at times we've stopped and spluttered for different reasons, but what the really fantastic elements is, Zoe and I never lost sight of the goal, what we wanted to achieve. And these collaborations are now starting to come fruition in the last 5 or 6 months. Zoe's giving me terrific clarity on what the market is, what I should be doing, or what I think I'd like to do. And through managing her bookkeeping and advice and business discussions, I found it a really rewarding position to be in, because I really felt I was adding value. Whereas if you're going into even a larger business, 8 or 10 people, sometimes you can just be a process. You're just adding a cog to the wheel to get the work done. But for me, working one-on-one, and particularly when I got my head around the zany nature of my collaborator, it was a lot of fun. And look, to be a little bit dry for a second, this stuff can be like changing the sheets on your bed or doing your laundry. Sometimes you just put it off for as long as you can, but at some point you're going to have to do it. So it's about finding that little, okay, suck it up. How do I make this something that I can get done without it feel like I'm pulling teeth? And that's what the 3.5-year journey that Zoe and I have been on. And now we're going live, and this is just an amazing experience for me. First full-blown webinar for my business. And I feel like I'm in a really great space to reach out and help people where I can.
No, that's like, it's great just to see, just be able to sit down while I'm standing, but to be able to just hear you say that so collectively, almost like you said it before, or you've actually practiced. But that's the the reason that I say that is because when you talked about, you picked up on that day when I remember we organized a meeting at some point and to sit down. And when you initially organized the meeting, I think it was either via email or via text. And I had a little bit of a lump in my throat of, oh, we're going to discuss my stuff. Crap, what have I done? Like, not saying in previous times you've brought the hammer down on me or anything, but usually when we would sit down and have these type of like face-to-face meetings
Yeah,
back in the days
can
when
can I just stop you there for a sec? But that's exactly the process. It's like going to see the principal at school because you feel like you're not in control of it. You don't know where it's standing. You don't know what mistakes you've made. So it can literally feel like that you're going to go before the principal at school. So anyway, carry on. Yep. I just thought I'd throw that in. Abstract.
No, exactly right, because that's the feeling that I had, despite the fact that by that point we'd already worked together for about 2 years, pretty much on and off, due to, say, for example, my health and a few things revolving around different business decisions and working around in regards to that.
But I still see that as a fulfilling part of the process, Zoe, because everyone will have those stumbling blocks at different times. And that's what, as an older person assisting a young entrepreneur getting through things in life, I've had the life experiences. I can generally tell you, okay, this is a time where we're just going to back off and let you be in the space to get things done. And then we can always pick it up. And that's what's really important. While this might be a little bit contradictory and saying, if you're really under stress, it can wait, but it has to be addressed at some point in time because, as Zoe and I will get to a bit later, I'm a big fan of mental health as well, having my own journey some years ago. So I feel the part of what Zoe and I can bring to the table in our discussions as collaborators is we've been through a bit and at different levels, and there's not much that won't surprise us. And the really important thing, what we just want to say, ask for help. Don't try and do it on your own if it's overwhelming. So you go, your turn.
And exactly. And by that point, you'd already helped me. So again, this is like, I think I want to say late 2019, early 2020. So by this point, you'd already helped me, like pulled me out of that, just the headspace that I was in regarding my finances, but also just in regards to bookkeepers and accountants in general, because, and what I will get to. So had your minds in like late 2019, early 2020. Now step back and step back all the way to, I want to say 2017, but it's probably 2018. I have no concept of time.
I'm pretty sure it was early 2018 when I first spoke to you about this concept.
Yes, but no. Well, like when we first worked together, I mean.
Oh, gee, yeah, wow, yeah. It was the 2017.
Yes, so I'm right. My head's not too far out.
Yeah.
So so back in 2017, I remember meeting you at a in-person networking, like a light networking event. It was like just a breakfast down in a local cafe here in Geelong. Regularly run, of course, not at the moment. But we just had a chance there. We had a talk. And we, nice to meet each other and talk. And we continue to see each other on and off, during these monthly meetings, morning meetings and such. And then I can't exactly remember. So you might have to fill me in, Roy, what happened next. But we either had a discussion or the topic of either money or business finance.
No.
Oh, am I lying? Am I lying, Roy?
Yes. This is the part, as much as we're being a little bit facetious, the really important part of this process. I had come to Geelong, and my previous business life in Melbourne, I didn't have to work at it. I just was word of mouth and references. So I had nothing or any idea on what to do with social media. So I was needing to build a presence and needing to decide how am I going to market myself to Geelong. And that's when Zoe came in. I got referred to Zoe from my website builder at the time. And then over a period of 6 months, I just sneakily said, so how are you going with all this stuff, Zoe? How do you manage your books? And yeah, you could pretty much say the floodgates opened at that point and said, it hasn't been great, Roy. I've been shafted about 4 or 5 times and I don't want to know about it, so don't ask those questions.
Okay, so I want to clarify for the court that yes, that's probably actually how it happened. Now realizing, because we actually had multiple conversations at those breakfasts throughout the time.
We started the connection about you coming to work for me to help me develop my social media presence.
Yes, it was mainly focusing on that. Now, thank you for jogging my memory. And so then, yeah, when you actually started poking around regarding business finance, of course, not overstepping your boundary, but
No.
just asking light questions and those type of things. And this was even with my previous business that I started when I was 14. Up before meeting you, and just before meeting you, actually, I'd been through 8 different bookkeepers / accountants, which. For people who are listening and who are unaware, that is a lot to go through for a business. And I want to state now that it's probably a lot to do with, plead for the court, probably a little bit to do with my inexperience with starting a business, but also just my inexperience with finance in general. I came from a fairly low income, from a low middle class home. So there was money, but wasn't a whole lot of it to go around.
Just put it up there for a sec, Zoe, because it's not about what you don't know. It comes back to the education process where you aren't taught the right questions to ask. It's nothing to do with, where you've been, what your journey is. You're in business, and if you don't know the right questions or the right checklist to ask, you will go around in circles. And so don't put yourself in a, and speaking to the audience at large, that don't put yourself in a basket because this is what I was brought up with, so this is what I expect. If you aren't taught something or you aren't educated, how do you know? So I just want to clarify that because I think you're being a bit hard on yourself the way you're looking at it.
Yes, you probably are true, Roy, in regards to that. There's a lot of stuff we can bring into that. But essentially, I went through a lot of bookkeepers because despite my insistence and despite my so when I would come to them, I would say, hey, here is my receipts. I learnt drips and drabs from the internet, but none of them very clear. And most of them, if you ever come across this, Roy, most of the education is based in America. So there's a lot of American rules and stuff when it comes to learning or educating yourself online. And in Australia, it's all text-based. And for someone who has dyslexia, it's all just a wall of text coming at you in legalese. So nothing is clear to begin with. Yep. And I would just say, here is my clipboard of receipts. Tell me what to do from here. So then they would sign me up to MyOb, Xero, QuickBooks, or import my data from another place, and go through this whole half hour to 45-minute session. And then from there, they would say, all right, all you need to do is click this. So then they would spend 5 minutes speaking purely in jargon and say, you need to click this, do this, do that, do this. And I would be furiously taking notes because I'm I don't understand what any of this means, but I'm just going to keep going. Yeah. And then by the end of it, they would say, cool, here's everything. Here's your password. Again, this was the latter, I'd say 6 that actually put me on an online platform as are they called bookkeeping softwares or is it management?
Software. Look, I just want to come in on top of that for a sec. Now is the best time to be a business owner because if you take the fear away from creating records, the artificial intelligence within your QuickBooks and Xero in particular is stunning. So it's just a matter of setting up for myself to say, okay, Zoe, what does your business do? And sitting down and maybe spending half an hour looking at the bank transactions or your invoicing or whatever. Okay, we can put the software program together and it will read your transactions for you. And wow, I must admit I'm old school. Up until 5 years ago, almost to the day, I was very much must have it on my computer. I must go to your office and I must see your receipts. I must see your bank statement. And then Xero became the market disruptor and suddenly everyone was online. Wow, I've got to learn and pivot, which I'll admit it was very seriously pulling teeth for about 6 months. But then I got to work with some really amazing people that stepped me through some processes. I re-educated and started to understand the benefits. And coming back to what Zoe and I are doing now, it's not a great leap. If you can understand putting records on a spreadsheet, you can do the accounting software. You can make that leap with a bit of help and a bit of instruction. And that's where you've got to maybe have that leap of faith. As I said, it's kind of like gee, I've got to do my washing, but I really don't want to look at it. If you're having that sort of mindset or block, get past it, understand that there is a solution that will benefit you, and particularly the young demographic. You guys have got amazing IT skills. I like, if I've got to change something on my phone, I just call my nephew. I don't even bother trying to do it myself. So, but what I have learned, particularly working with the online platforms, is adapting your business to the software, because then your accountant, your tax agent can drill in and get the information. You can upload and store your receipts electronically. So suddenly a lot of your record keeping, and a lot of these have phone apps now where you can take a photo of a receipt, hit a button, it gets sent to your software platform, waiting for you to look at it and to allocate it. So, and these programs start from anywhere from $15 a month up to $50 plus, depending on the size of your business and what you're doing. But yeah, and it's just about getting past not seeing it as a cost, but seeing it as a benefit. That makes my life a hell of a lot easier, because I could say to my accountant in mid-July, mid-August, gee, I'm organised, do my tax instead of waiting to the death knell at March or May even next year, or worse still, if you're trying to do it on your own, October 31 comes around pretty damn quick to get, if you're trying to do your tax returns yourself. So these software platforms are really important, and the AI in them are really starting to help you get your business moving along.
Exactly. And it took me, the first two or three bookkeepers I had didn't even do that. It was because they hadn't become as ubiquitous back then when I first started reaching out to people to sort this whole kerfuffle out. But being able to see that stuff, and it worked great. But the only reason that I didn't feel comfortable using it was because from my point of view, there was a lot of final decisions. Yes, when you deal online, there is a bit of a gray area when it comes to making decisions. If you post something, you can delete it. Of course, the internet knows everything. But in the sense of, you make a mistake, there's a way of fixing it. But when dealing with the ATO or when dealing with financial matters, if I accidentally put something in the wrong category, it made, again, feel free to prove me wrong here, Roy, but it made me feel like when I was doing it myself, that I was going to break something, that I was going to ruin it, and it was going to cost me way too much money to fix it because I didn't even know what I was supposed to do right. Yeah,
and again, it comes back to the education and the training that you haven't received. You done it. It's kind of like it's on, and some people do just have a fear of it. It just, what if I do this and it breaks? And sometimes in my training and learning and upskilling, and then taking that to new people, and I go, what happens if I make a mistake? And I say, you just delete it and do it again. Really? Yeah, that's simple. Really? Okay. But for me, it's about giving you the confidence to do it. And what people get confused with or get scared off with is the word or the sentence accounting package or accounting software. I can tell you right up now that I reckon 75-80% of an accounting software package is data entry. The 20-25% you don't look at, that's for the accountant. And that's okay, because you don't need to know that to run your business on a platform. And that's where, if you try and break it down into seagull chip bits, you will find a way to get through it, because you'll identify your work process. Oh, that's how it looks in the platform. And it's just a matter of taking that leap of faith and not looking at it like, ooh, zombie territory or something, I'm going to change into, or I'm now really showing my age as Lost in Space, the robot. Oh, danger, Will Robinson, danger. You've got to, I'm sorry, being a bit facetious, it's late in the day. But I'm trying to, again, what Zoe and I decided with this particular session is to make it a bit lighthearted, to take the fear out of taking that first step to get help. So hopefully I know my career in stand-up comedy is in real jeopardy, but I'm pretty good at the accounting thing. So yeah, I'll take that and run.
I think you'll do absolutely fine, Roy. You'll do beautifully. And that's definitely true, because once I started sitting and actually talking with you, so I went through pretty much the same cycle with all those previous bookkeepers or accountants, where I would get the courage to be able to approach one. I'd book in a session, would sit down, would go through again, full of jargon, full of, you press this button, you do this thing, here, you come up with these reports, and you do that, and cool, and then you hand it over to your accountant. I'm like, and then I would say, oh, I don't have an accountant. Or I would ask questions, and for some of them, they would just be like, they'd take a pause and then just answer straight away. But especially with a lot of people who were inherently older, they would look at me and again, I'm putting words in their mouth, but they looked at me like I was stupid, like almost with disgust at how incompetent I was at not knowing what any of the terminology that they were speaking. Yeah,
and most of people that have, most practitioners or some practitioners that have been in business for a long time, they just talk in their speak, and they don't even think about the level of communication that they're, giving back to a young person. And that's where you get turned off, because one thing that Zoe and I have been really strong on in developing this product is we want to be a peer to you. We don't want to be a superior or an inferior. We want it to be a collaboration to get you to a point where you're in charge of your business. The thing that can really happen very quickly, particularly when you're starting out, you're ramping up, you're going full tilt, and you come to your first year, well, I don't want to do that. And then suddenly your business takes another leap, and it's suddenly your second year, oh, it's not getting much better, I'm not looking at that. And suddenly 3 or 4 years of tax returns haven't been done, purely because you've got that focus or that energy to say, that's a toxic thing, I don't want to touch it. And from my perspective is, particularly I find young people today with their businesses are really quite savvy in their thinking. And it's just about breaking down that barrier to say, you're not a doer because you don't know this, because you've never been taught it. It's kind of like, it's been a really interesting experience as a late 50s, early 60s person to take instruction from someone in their mid-20s to learn about social media. Being told what to do isn't or being instructed what to do isn't one of my strong points normally, but it was a really fascinating collaboration to sort of let go of some of the control, which, as an older person, because you've done it, you get up, you put the coffee on, you turn the ignition on, you kick into gear for the day, and you're kind of in autopilot. So what Zoe had to do for me was to, hang on, Roy, autopilot's not going to work here. We're just going to have to put the brakes on and just dial it back through the gears, and then go back up through the gears to a point. And then we've done a really good process. And then, of course, like everyone else, last 18 months of COVID's been a real nightmare. But we've battled on. We've got this magnificent collaboration and understanding of where we fit in each other's world. And my view is, I'm wanting an information service. I'm not looking at this to take your money and run. If there's a collaboration you need just for a setup, I'll do that. If you want a longer term business relationship, I'll do that. So, but the important part, particularly in that first 6 to 12 months of business, is instilling information and knowledge so you can start to making the decisions for yourself. Like, I think when I first mentioned this to Zoe, she found the concept a little bit strange, because I said, when I go in to a client on a longer term deal, I train myself to become redundant. What do you mean? Well, at some point, you will have a skill set, or at least have enough knowledge to decide that this information or this job, I've got it, I can do it. Or, as Zoe's done, no, I'm not going to touch that, Roy, you've got it, you keep it, and off you go. And I see that as such a critical point of this exercise, is to give you the information, the knowledge, and the ability to identify, yeah, I've got this, I can do this. Or I'm saying, well, Roy, I've got so much on my plate, I'm loving my business, can you just take care of it? You know, so it's about choice. And I think, you know, whether you're in a relationship at a personal level, or you're looking at a business partner, or going to a bank asking for finance, virtually every decision you make is about choice. Do I do this or do I do that? And if you haven't got the appropriate skill set and knowledge and expertise in your toolkit, it could come unstuck. So it's all generalized theoretic philosophy, but if you look at, you know, it's as simple as, how do I run my personal life? What decisions do I make to get the best out of that? Transfer that across to your business. If you're organized at a personal level, why aren't you organized at a business level? Make the connection. And then once you start to run those things in tandem, and don't try and say you're in an alternative parallel universe, that I become Mr. Hyde at a personal level and Dr. Jekyll when I go into my business, because to run the two together successfully is incredibly rewarding. And
exactly. And it's only, very much like you. I've definitely seen a change in you over these past couple of years of working with you, not just because of Humanising Money Matters and that work, but just seeing you as a person, not having that epiphany that mental health is important, but understanding that the two work together.
Yeah, sure.
When it comes to running a business, it just works together, because you are the person who's driving it no matter what.
Yeah, and that's the hard part, particularly when you have been an employee. You know, your boss pays your taxes, your boss pays your superannuation. You turn up on a daily basis. You get your weekly pay, you get your fortnightly pay, your monthly pay, you get your annual leave, you get your public holidays. And when you go into business, bad luck, big fella, that's all your problem now. And all your holidays are out the window, so there's a real ethos around that pivoting and suddenly saying, oh, crap, how the hell do I do this shit? You know, sorry. How do I manage my day-to-day protocols to make sure that I don't fail at the business that I want to be really successful and good at?
Exactly right.
Yeah.
No. If you have something to add, feel free.
No. I was just having a quick look at where we're at and what we're doing and everything. So, I'm just quite enjoying as I said, I sort of have a bit of a bamboozling day, and it's nice to sort of sit back in this confine to talk about real stuff that means it can ultimately mean quite a lot to people who are struggling, who've got a great business, but they've just got no idea what their finances are doing. And for the boring part of it, for what it is, as you get older and you get into a relationship, you get married and kids come along, well, I better go and see the bank. And they say, where are your tax returns? And I go, oh, yeah, that's a problem. Because basically anything you look at, whether it's a home loan or if you want to buy a car through an equipment purchasing arrangement or a business loan or whatever, if you haven't got up-to-date accounting and tax records, the bank won't even talk to you. So particularly when you get to you've been in it for 5 years, you might need 50 grand to expand. And if you haven't done your tax returns for 5 years, one, they're going to say, well, you're not organised. That's a black mark. And the second thing is, if you haven't kept track of what you're doing and suddenly 5 years worth of tax returns give you a 20, 30 grand tax bill that you can't pay, the bank won't look at you. One of the big things I've learned, I have a really good relationship with a lovely bank manager out at Bannockburn at the Bendigo Bank, a lovely young lady by the name of Miss Bree Curran, and she just is a fantastic source of information on how to do things and how the bank works, what they look at, and so forth. So, not that I would. It just depends at what stage of life you're at. But the important part is, even in your younger days where you might have bought a car, might have had an accident, written it off, you still got a debt to pay off. Pay the debt off. You don't want a black mark on your credit record. Like if you go bankrupt, again, it just takes you that much longer to recover. So it's really just when you're going into these things, get information, understand the risk versus the reward. I'll be the first one to put my hand up. I enjoy driving a nice car. I enjoy going out, having a nice glass of red and a steak or whatever. But if there's 3 or 4 of us, a bottle will have to suffice. But my point being is information and choice. I just can't stress that enough to make sure, particularly around your finances, if you borrow 30 grand on a car and it goes and you lose your job, that's a millstone around your neck for forever and a day, particularly if you end up having to go bankrupt to get rid of the debt. So there's so many different things in it, but I think what Zoe's learned, particularly last 12 or 18 months, planning, asking, executing, review, and enhance where you need to. And the platform we started to lay 2017, we didn't really know where it was going to go. We didn't know what our future might look like. And it's just that we enjoyed each other's company. I was interested, particularly, bloody social media stuff. Zoe, it's giving me. So I needed that facilitation through a very transitional time for me. And, and then come COVID, I can't believe I'm sitting here doing a webinar. If someone said 5 years ago, Roy, you're going to do a webinar, I'd go, oh, yeah, right, okay. Yep, got that one. No, not going to happen. So COVID has taught me a lot, Zoom meetings, and not to be afraid. Okay, if I can't pick up a phone or I can't go and see someone, can we do a face-to-face time? And as much as 18 months down the track, we are all over it and we've had enough. But now's the time to get your information together, because we're not far away where we will be able to meet up, talk, and your businesses will be, because businesses we know it in the past is gone. For example, at the start of COVID last year, Qantas had its head office in Mascot, at Mascot Airport in Sydney. Obviously, they laid off a few people, but because of what staff they had all went to work from home, their head office got emptied, and they're now saving themselves $40 million a year on rent. And that will become the norm. I've already spoken to colleagues at different levels. They're not going back to the office. They want to, the risk of being in public transport, the risk of being in a crowded office, air conditioning, and particularly if your immune system is compromised or your respiratory compromised, businesses we know it won't, a lot of them, except face-to-face, obviously hospitality, pubs and those sorts of things won't change, but service-based industries, particularly in IT, creative, you can do a lot of stuff at your fingertips from home. So to have everything at your fingertips and to be able to know exactly where you're sitting, what your business's performance, and that's the other thing I probably should have brought into the conversation too. By keeping your records up to date, you know how your business is performing, because the really critical part of running your own business is making sure you value your time correctly. If you run like hell and you're doing 70 hours a week, but you're making $10 an hour, is it viable? But if you're running at 50 hours a week, which you're going to do more than the normal for your own business, and your hourly rate's kicking in at about 40 or 50 bucks an hour, so that's about $2,500 a week, you go, I'll take that. So but without those numbers, you can't make those decisions. So it's just not a matter of getting up and doing a process. You've got to value your time, and you've got to know what that time means in terms of your revenue. So if my business isn't giving me what I want, should I go back to work? Or should I pivot and diversify? Or should I go and find another service or industry that people aren't doing at the moment? So if you haven't got your business records in shape, how do you make those decisions? Because you just don't know what your numbers are. Am I making $1 a day, or am I making $1,000 a day? Who would know? So anyway, that's probably a bit of extreme, but I think you get where I'm coming from.
No, I think I think people can understand, hopefully, where they're coming from in that respect. Because if you don't know where your path is, how are you supposed to even know? And especially if you're making those larger leaps, when it comes to making money, or the money's coming in, but if the money is if it's greater going out, you're not doing the right. You're not doing the right thing, or you're not. It's not that you're not doing the right thing. It's a case of you need to know that more money's going out than it's coming in.
Correct. And often that can happen. Oh, I should have got nothing in the bank. Whereas if you're tracking what's going on, and you might have your last $1,000 there and say, oh shit, I've only got $1,000 sitting there and I haven't got enough revenue. I need to go out and source some more clients, because business is going to be competitive because of pivoting and service stuff being because a lot of your overheads of being in an office disappear working from home. So if you're sitting in an office, you might need to charge someone $100 an hour to make it viable. But perhaps sitting at home, you might only need $60 an hour because your costs are only $10 and you end up with $50 an hour in your pocket. And when some of these industry, like I looked after a copywriter some years ago now, and an old style person, very, very arrogant in his skill set, and wouldn't do anything less than $120 an hour. And he was working from home for the last 2 or 3 years. I was with him. He could have shaved $20, $30, $40 an hour off that cost and still made money. He priced himself out of the market, and eventually his business just disappeared. So it's really important to understand, it'd be nice to get $100 an hour, but if the market is only worth $60 an hour, you got to be doing something special to get that premium, which is a conversation for another time. But if you're on, as we said a bit earlier, if what you're earning gives you the lifestyle choice and the outcomes that you enjoy by being focused and energized on your business, which leaves you for your relationship, your family, your friends, so you don't feel like, shit, I'm just feeding the machine, I'm on the treadmill and all I'm doing is spitting out work and I'm getting paid for it and there's no reward for my effort. Don't go down that path. Don't do that. It's just, it will destroy you if you get on that treadmill for 10 or 15 years and there's no payoff. So that's, again, a whole range of other conversations we'll have at another time. But anyway, how are we going for time, Zoe, and how are we going in terms of our agenda? Are we on track?
I've kind of thrown out the agenda, to tell you the truth, right? We're getting there. We're touching on bits and pieces. Like, of course, we've tried to plan this out, but it's all good. We'll just throw it out. It's all fine. But no, you're doing a very good job, Roy, especially for your first long full webinar, because you've guested on other webinars before, correct?
Yeah, a couple, 2 or 3. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not like you do this professionally.
Oh, hell no. But what it is to me, it's, as you get a bit older, and the difference, how you judge your value is, like they often say in your life, you pay it forward. Well, I look at this venture as paying it back, because if I can create a product, a platform, or an information source, a resource that at 25, you can say in 10 years' time, gee, that conversation with Roy was really important, and that's changed the way I'm doing business. You can't put a dollar value on that. That's a payoff. That's something that is, for me, just using what I briefly said before, whether you take on board the information and the collaboration and the platforms and things that Zoe and I put together to try and make it a little bit more interesting, because have to be honest, it's not the greatest topic to get excited about. So that's why we're trying to bring a bit of frivolity to it, to say, just to lighten it up. Because if at 25 you can make the decision, say, shit, yeah, that makes sense, I think I really want to do that, and then the next 5 years you put it into put it into play, and then 35, your business is shooting the lights out, you're ready to take it next level, and you have that opportunity to sit back and say, gee, this has been a really interesting process. Where did it start and how did I get here? Well, you could not pay a bigger compliment to say that video, that YouTube clip, that face-to-face, where I had half an hour of mentoring or an hour of mentoring that totally changed my attitude to my finances and how to run a business. That is the payoff I love.
Well, right.
That's why I'm Father Christmas, sorry.
Well, yes, it's also because we're in lockdown and
Yeah,
and that always happens. But I'm actually going to make your day, because that's what happened with me after having that chat with you. And I think it was, initially to have that chat to talk about your social media in general. And we talked about Facebook and all the stuff. And I, we did that regular plan.
Yep.
And then when you actually lightly talked about those subjects, and then we actually, I think, had a follow-up session, like I want to say a week or two after that one, where it was actually focusing on my business. That had me scared shitless because, well, as you well know, Roy, having that experience with all those other people who are just going to look at you, look how pathetic you are, and then drop you. I thought, okay, even though I've got this type of person that you are, Roy, I was panicked because, as you mentioned about that Jekyll and Hyde difference when working with someone. As opposed to, just because someone could be a good client doesn't mean that they're a good business owner. But after having that,
no, I'm going to stop you there. I'm going to stop you there because if you're a good client, you'll have a good business, right? Because generally,
not necessarily.
We're going to have a tiff, are we?
Ooh, get down. Ding, ding.
No, I disagree, because if you have good attributes, generally you will run a good business when you have the opportunity. I'll put a disclaimer there. If you don't have the opportunities and you're trying to kick up and get yourself going, yes, that's difficult. But but it's a willingness to change. And I think one word that we haven't used yet, Zoe, was trust. I had to let you do this at your pace and let you absorb at your pace. Because you may recall with a certain competitor in your field that I took on a program for 3 weeks and gone, no, this isn't me. And because that process, while it gave me some good skills, was done way too quickly. And I was bombarded and overwhelmed. So whether you want to sit down once a week, once a month, or once every 6 months, but I don't recommend that, it's your process under your steam so that you don't get overwhelmed. Building the trust to say, yes, this is a little meme. I love memes on Facebook. Be a good listener so people want to talk to you. And that's what this business is about, particularly building the structure around starting out in business. As Zoe said a bit earlier, you walk into an established office, you might be on the 5th floor and you're looking out over Corio Bay and you're just going, oh my God, how much is this going to cost me? And you walk away and you're none the wiser because they've totally spoken a language over your head. Where one of my favourite little places, I hope I'm allowed to give it a plug, but I will, Studio 42 in Rippleside. You can sit outside on the decking. As you can see, I'm pretty casual in my T-shirt and so forth. I'm looking like Father Christmas. I would much rather meet you in that environment where nothing is more in focus than the relationship and the conversation that we have to have about your business. Because if you're focused and whizzing around at all the bells and whistles that established businesses like to do to show off their achievements, which is fine if you're in that level, but people, particularly at the starting point, it becomes, I need information. I want the choice to be there if I can, but I need a starting point. And that's where just a cup of coffee, sitting, looking out over Corio Bay, watching the dogs running through the park, and you're relaxed and the environment that you're going to be sitting in, you can focus on what I have to say. That's that's my goal anyway, which I hope meets with a few people's criteria.
No, that's the best way to do business nowadays, is to have that casual approach. I still want to. We don't have enough time today, but I'm definitely going to pick him back up on that fight, and I'm going to come back and say that people who are good clients don't necessarily make good business owners. I'm going to fight you on that, but we don't have time for that right now, Roy.
Yeah, I think that's again down the track a great topic, because people need to know, relationship building is not just about what we're putting on the table, and that conundrum that we get taught, if someone's giving me grief, they're not a good person. Someone could be challenging you because they want to understand what you're saying, and you're not talking. You can talk, and I must admit, and I can't believe I thought of this. One of my least enjoyable phrase is when you're having a conversation and someone says, "Yeah, I hear you," and I go, "No, you're not. You're not even listening. You're just tuned out, and you're just saying, yeah, whatever you're saying, I'm going to run with it." So potential people come to me, and if you want to put that on the table, I'm going to pull you up and say, you're not listening. You're just lip servicing. And I will help you get past that, because as Zoe's found out, and now she's in control of what she's doing, that empowerment not to be getting up each day and saying, oh, what's that going to look like when I look at the bank statement? What are my finances going to be like when I finally, because I've got money all over the place. Incredibly well structured, and most of it she's taken the instruction and moved on it. So, yeah, the good client versus bad business or disorganized business. Yeah, I reckon that's a good conversation we can have, so.
All right, I'll organize that. I'll organize that for early 2022. Watch this space.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we've only got a couple more minutes left of our hour. So usually we do, usually this is our first time, we usually would have a dance break about halfway through, but Roy was on a roll, so I wasn't going to stop them by making them do a dance or what have you, but also just to show off my cool dancing video that I made to have over the credits. But while we're here, we've got a couple more minutes left. I do want to talk about our next topic, which will be on the 18th of October. So it's Monday night, so on the 18th of October, which I know seems a really long way away for anyone who's currently in lockdown, but we will get there. We can do it. And anyone who's watching this in the future, we've currently just had a snap lockdown as of last night, day before?
Correct.
Last night. So snap lockdown. I think we're at either number 7 or number 8. We've lost counting over down here in Victoria. And again, it's for a good cause, but oh God. So we're all just taking a breath. But in a month's time, exactly. In a month's time, we're going to be discussing, the topic will be, I'm looking down at the bottom of the screen, starting your business, tools, toys, and training. So that's not inherently a sexy pun-related title, but you could say that, tools, toys.
Yeah.
You can make your own conclusions with that one.
Let's keep the surprise, eh?
Exactly. But we do have a surprise coming for that webinar. So I highly recommend that you put that time and you put that date into your calendar just to remind you when it's coming on board. And again, we will be live here on YouTube and then subsequently showing off on the podcast. I did mention to you, Roy, that we're actually putting on a podcast, right?
Yes. I do now.
Good. I'm not surprising you with that. Good.
And
it's not like I've ever done that before, right?
And at some point, my office supervisor, who people follow Instagram and my Facebook page know who that is, he may make a special appearance at some point in time, but he's fast asleep in front of the fire at the moment.
Yeah, my partner's doing the same thing. It's that time. It's that type of weather at the moment. Yes, so make sure you tune in for next time. And if you have any questions or anything in the meantime, it doesn't have to be topic related. You can always just shoot that either to any of the details down below at the bottom of the screen, or if you're listening on the podcast, check out humanizingmoneymatters.com.au and you can go through the social medias that way. I just wanted to also highlight before we finish off today, and you can hopefully get a rest and actually chill tonight after the day you've had, Roy. We've been sporting our lovely mugs, which have the Making Business Finance Sexy on one side and then the Humanising Money Matters logo on one side. I know I'm designing a little bit of a change to this one, because these ones are prototypes, but they're actually going to be updating and changing for future use. Are you going to be selling them, Roy, or are you just going to be gifting them out to special people?
Well, I believe that's a work in progress, Zoe.
Okay.
We perhaps off screen, we had got as far as gifting, but we had briefly mentioned merchandise and things, and I'm really keen to explore that, because in my view, this is a wonderful. I got quite a surprise lockdown. Zoe said, "I've got something for you. I've got a present, but I have to leave it at your front door because I can't be face to face because of lockdown." I go, okay. And then there's this box. It's kind of like, you're opening up expecting a little kitten inside. And I've gone, oh my God, that is just so cool, because we've put so much effort into, and it just, to me, took it to that next level of relationship building and inherent positive energy. I think we can overdo some of the things in that area, but if just a simple colouring or a sentence that can say, gee, that made me feel really good, and I really get what that says. So, yeah, we watch this. I think we say at this point, Zoe, we will watch this space and
awesome.
See what we can do.
Awesome, because that was, I just want to clarify, I didn't put any air holes in the box to make you assume it was a live creature or anything like that. I just want to clarify that for the audience. But we'll see. If you're interested in getting one for yourself, make sure that you hound Roy and just be like, can I have my mug, please? Can I just have a mug?
Yep, we can manage that, absolutely. Fantastic.
But of course. So we are going to finish up.
Yep.
Yes, we are going to finish up today. But do you have anything that we would like? I'm just looking through my notes here. I want to thank you so much, Roy, for your time today. I know that it's been a hell of a day for you, but I hope that it's going to, after you log off here today, you're just going to go to bed and then just think of all the good thoughts.
Because I'm talking about something I'm passionate about, and no matter what energy and stress and anxiety that might come to your day, when you're talking about something that you're passionate about, and you've got a good collaborative partner that can drive the process, it does make a big difference to your mindset, and suddenly that sort of negative energy falls away, and you say, gee, I'm enjoying this. I'm going to do this again on October 18.
Yes, so we'll be here at 6:30 p.m. I was about to say a.m. God, I don't want to wake you up that early because I'm already awake, but I know you're...
No, just no. Do not disturb. Not at home.
I'm not going to do that to you. I promise I'm not going to do that to you, Roy. But make sure you check out the website for more details about the series and other helpful educational resources that are on the website. Roy has mentioned lightly around the process of what we do with free resources, but they are there accessible for you on the website just by typing in humanisingmoneymatters.com.au. So I'm going to click the title, and then from there we'll all log off and go to bed. But I hope you have a wonderful night, and I will probably talk to you, Roy, later on this week, probably.
Yeah, we'll touch base a bit later. And thank you, Zoe. Fantastic chair. And I hope there's a lot of information viewers can take away and have a bit of a think about. And also, if you have social media that you need sorting, my friend and collaborator Zoe is more than capable of taking that on board for you. So let's just thank you, a big thank you for tuning in for my first one, and Zoe, to all your hard work, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the 18th of October.
Yes, we will see you there on the 18th, and I will catch up with you later, Roy.
No worries.
All right.
Okay.
Bye.